when you get into this situation, everybody just chalks it up to drug abuse or bad choices. And sorry, it's not always the case. Sometimes it's just the choice is made for you and you don't have any choice. So other than hope, I guess, that some things will change.
But that money goes really fast because it costs a lot to live, especially with a wife, 3 meals a day, you splurge sometimes, socks, new clothes.
Beneath the bright lights of Los Angeles, a heartbreaking reality plays out every single day. Behind the glimmering skyline and celebrity mansions, thousands of people are struggling just to survive, with no roof over their heads. In one of the richest cities on Earth, how is this even possible? Los Angeles may be known for dreams and movie stars, but it's also become ground zero for one of the worst homelessness crises in the country. And year after year, things just keep getting worse. How can luxury and suffering live side by side like this? And why hasn't anyone stopped it? In this documentary, we're going deep, exposing the real reasons behind this growing nightmare, the damage it's causing, and the urgent fight for solutions. Along the way, you'll hear powerful human stories that bring the numbers to life and show just how serious this crisis really is. Now let's dig into this urgent issue together. The reality on the streets of Los Angeles is beyond disturbing. Over 66,000 people are now homeless across the county, and that number keeps rising every year. Despite efforts to fix the problem, the crisis shows no signs of slowing down. The homeless community isn't just one group. It's made up of families, veterans, teens, and people battling mental health challenges or addiction. And nowhere is this crisis more visible than Skid Row, a stretch of 50 city blocks that has become a symbol of extreme poverty and human suffering. At any moment, 2,000 to 3,000 people live on the streets of Skid Row. Tents crowd the sidewalks. Cardboard shelters line the alleys. People are trying to survive in conditions no one should ever have to face. This isn't just about not having a home. It's about being trapped in unsafe, unhealthy places with no way out. According to the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, over half the city's homeless population has mental health problems, and many also struggle with addiction. This deadly combination makes it even harder to help them. Some don't want help. Others just can't access it. Emergency shelters are packed to the brim, and even when someone gets a bed, it's only temporary. The deeper issues remain unsolved, and the housing market, it's a disaster. With barely any affordable options available, people are stuck in shelters, cars, or out on the streets for months or even years. It's not just one problem, it's many. A broken mental health system, not enough treatment for addiction, a lack of shelter, and almost zero affordable housing. Los Angeles shows us one hard truth. Homelessness isn't just about not having a house. It's a deep, tangled crisis that needs real, long-term solutions, now. So what's really pushing people onto the streets in Los Angeles? One major reason. The cost of living is out of control. Over the past 10 years, rent prices have skyrocketed, but wages haven't kept up. A recent report says nearly 500,000 affordable rentals are needed in LA County. But the supply? It's way behind. In 2020, the average rent for a 2-bedroom apartment was over $2,500 a month. But the average renter made only around $50,000 a year. That math doesn't work. People are being squeezed out, forced to choose between rent, food, or falling into homelessness. Jobs are another part of the problem. Many people who are homeless just can't find steady work. Some have no formal education, some have criminal records, and many deal with mental health struggles. Even though LA's economy looks strong in some industries, it's flooded with low-paying jobs that don't even come close to covering basic needs. That means people get stuck in a loop, working hard but never able to afford stable housing. To make matters worse, the city's support systems are stretched to the breaking point. Shelters are full, waiting lists are endless, and programs designed to help just can't keep up with the growing number of people who need them. Mental health care and addiction treatment, there's not nearly enough funding. That leaves people suffering, with no way to get better and no way out. The consequences are devastating. The toll of homelessness isn't just personal. It affects everyone. For those on the streets, the damage to their health is severe. Many face untreated illnesses like diabetes, heart problems, and asthma. Mental health conditions like depression and anxiety are everywhere, and things only get worse when people can't get help. Living without shelter makes it nearly impossible to stay healthy or safe. And with addiction also common among the homeless population, the struggle to survive becomes even more dangerous. But the impact reaches far beyond the streets. The growing homeless population in Los Angeles is putting massive pressure on the city's already struggling systems. Hospitals and clinics are swamped with emergency visits from people who have no regular access to basic care. Emergency services like ambulances and shelters are stretched thin, with long wait times and very limited space. Even law enforcement is overwhelmed. Officers are constantly responding to calls involving homeless individuals. Everything from disputes in public spaces to health and safety concerns. And every one of these calls pulls officers away from other important responsibilities, like keeping schools safe and maintaining city infrastructure. The impact ripples through the entire city. And the economy? It's taking a hit too. Neighborhoods like Skid Row, where the crisis is most visible, have seen a drop in business. Shops, restaurants, and stores in those areas report fewer customers and lower sales, all because the areas are now seen as unsafe or too unstable. The city is spending huge amounts of money trying to manage the crisis, with emergency services, public health programs, and short-term shelters draining government budgets. That burden gets passed on to taxpayers, while the core of the problem still remains. It's a cycle that drains resources, weakens the economy, and leaves little hope for progress. One of the biggest reasons this crisis keeps growing is the brutal shortage of affordable housing. Rent has skyrocketed, but wages haven't followed. For many low-income families, it's now almost impossible to find a place to live. According to the California Housing Partnership, Los Angeles needs nearly 500,000 affordable units just to meet current demand. And while some projects are in motion, they're nowhere near enough to keep up. As rent rises, more and more people get pushed out of the housing market and straight into homelessness. The gap between cost of living and what people actually earn is widening fast. And with food, transport, and healthcare also becoming more expensive, survival gets harder by the day. Gentrification makes things worse. As wealthier people move into previously affordable neighborhoods, longtime residents are priced out and left with nowhere to go. This cycle of displacement fuels the crisis and makes it harder to imagine a real solution. Meanwhile, the social safety nets meant to help people are falling apart under the pressure. Shelters, food banks, and outreach programs are stretched beyond capacity. According to the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, shelters are overcrowded and the waiting lists never stop growing. Even when there are programs for job training or addiction recovery, they often lack funding. So the help is limited, and too many people fall through the cracks. The truth is, these programs, though well-meaning, can't fix homelessness on their own. When people face rising costs, broken systems, and almost no support, the situation only gets worse. That's why any real fix has to go way beyond surface-level solutions. What can be done? The path forward. Solving homelessness in Los Angeles isn't just about building more shelters. It's about attacking the root causes head-on. Yes, emergency shelters help in the short term, but they don't fix what's causing the crisis. The housing shortage, mental health struggles, addiction, and huge income gaps. One of the biggest steps the city must take is building a lot more affordable housing. Fast. Public funding is crucial, but private developers should also be encouraged to build by offering tax breaks and other incentives. Smart policies like rent control, inclusionary zoning, and housing-first strategies, where people get permanent homes before anything else, need to be expanded. Cities like Seattle and Portland have already seen success using these methods. Seattle's housing levy brought in funds to build affordable housing, while Portland invested heavily in permanent supportive housing to keep people off the streets for good. Los Angeles can, and should, follow their lead. But it doesn't stop with housing. Real solutions must include strong support systems, mental health care, addiction treatment, job training, and long-term housing options that offer real stability. Many people living on the streets are dealing with untreated trauma, mental illness, or substance abuse. Without proper care, they can't move forward. Expanding access to health services and recovery programs is key to helping people reclaim their lives. Job training is also critical. Programs should be built specifically for people coming out of homelessness, giving them the skills they need to get stable work in high-demand fields like construction, healthcare, or tech. When all these pieces work together, housing, health support, and jobs, people get a real shot at rebuilding their lives. But none of this can happen without serious teamwork between the city, businesses, nonprofits, and everyday people who care. John's story is one of heartbreak and hope. For over 10 years, John worked hard as a mechanic. He provided for his wife and 2 kids. But when his wife got sick, everything changed. He took time off to care for her, and the bills started piling up fast. Soon, they couldn't keep up. Rent was overdue. His job was gone. And before he knew it, John and his family were living in their car. For months, they bounced between parking lots and crowded shelters. John would drop his kids off at school in the morning, then spend the day searching for work. But the stress was crushing. The shame, the fear, the sleepless nights. His kids tried to stay hopeful, but school and friends became harder. John felt like he was losing everything. Then came a lifeline. A local church, working with a community group, offered him temporary housing. That first night under a roof, John finally slept without fear. It was the turning point. From there, caseworkers helped him apply for affordable housing and job training programs. The support he received didn't just get him off the street. It gave him the tools to rebuild everything he lost. John's journey shows that with the right help at the right time, recovery is possible. His story is just one of many, but it proves that no one is beyond hope. Today, John is working again at a local auto repair shop. He's earning enough to support his family. They now live in an affordable housing unit, and John has found something even more valuable than stability. He's found pride and hope. He hasn't forgotten the people who helped him when he had nothing. Now, John volunteers with the same organization that gave him a second chance, helping others who are going through what he once did. His journey proves one powerful truth. Homelessness isn't permanent. It's a crisis, but with compassion, resources, and community support, it can be overcome. As I reflect on everything we've seen in Los Angeles, my heart feels heavy. Because this isn't just a city problem. This is a national tragedy that's growing and being ignored. It's easy to walk past someone living on the streets and look the other way. But every time we do, we allow the cycle of suffering to continue. This isn't just about lacking a roof. It's about people being stripped of dignity, safety, and support. Every day that we ignore the root causes, poverty, mental health issues, addiction, and skyrocketing housing costs, we fail the people who need help most. The time for quick fixes and band-aid solutions is over. We need a real, lasting transformation. We need a world where help doesn't just mean one hot meal. It means tools to rebuild a life. A society that lets its most vulnerable fall through the cracks is not a society built on compassion. So here's the truth. We can't wait another day. The problem is real, and so is our power to fight it. You don't have to be a politician to make a difference. Support your local shelters. Volunteer. Donate. Share stories like John's. Raise your voice. Every small action counts. Every moment of kindness adds up. For those of us lucky enough to have a home, it's easy to forget what it means to lose everything. But the health of any city, any country, is measured by how it treats its most vulnerable. And right now, we are failing. But we still have time to turn things around. Let's build a future where no one is left behind. Let's make compassion louder than neglect. Let's be the generation that ends homelessness, not just in Los Angeles, but everywhere. The crisis in Los Angeles is just the tip of the iceberg. Behind are deeper problems: rising costs, broken support systems, untreated mental illness, and a lack of opportunities. But change is possible. With bold investments in affordable housing, with better health care, mental health treatment, addiction recovery, and job programs. With people willing to step up, like John, we can turn this around. Let John's story be the proof. Let this documentary be the call. Homelessness isn't hopelessness. It's a crisis, one we can fight together. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us keep shining a light on the stories that matter and pushing for real change. Let's build a world where everyone has a home. Let's make sure no one gets left behind. Let's act now.